A lot of the movie talks about, kind of if you can lie enough to create your own truth and things. I was wondering whether you got the sense that Joyce has really convinced herself that her version is true, or whether she's really just a tremendous actress.
Don't know. I think there is a lot of truth, to the extent that I know what the truth is in this story, to what Joyce says. And I do believe that Joyce, in turn, believes her account. But there are things we'll never know. I mean, there are things that may not be knowable. Take this love cottage. Supposedly Kirk Anderson was raped in this love cottage off the coast of England. There were 3 people there that weekend. One is dead. One won't speak to me under any circumstances. And the third is Joyce McKinney. So you tell me what happened.
And I mean, it seems like a lot of your films kind of touch on these themes of obsession and kind of the murky nature of the truth. I was wondering if there were movies that,
I always feel I need to correct this view. The truth itself is not murky per se. Something happened in that love cottage. We may not be able to ever know for sure what that is. I don't believe the truth is murky. I made a whole movie about a murder in Dallas where I was able to overturn a conviction and get an innocent man out of prison. Nothing murky about who pulled the trigger, who killed the cop. But our attempts to grab a hold of the truth, our attempts to find out what really happened, can be difficult, problematic, confused, tortuous.
Well, speaking of a thin blue line, I run sort of a movie club where we kind of look at older movies and discuss them. And because of the Casey Anthony verdict that just happened, I decided that we would do the thin blue line next, and to talk about sort of about the law and justice. And I was actually curious about what your thoughts about where the law fits into the idea of the search for truth.
I'm one of these people that believes that the law ultimately has to be concerned with the search for truth, because if we have any fundamental idea of fairness or justice, it's not enough to say we've gone through a correct set of procedures and we've sentenced a man to death. We want to know that we've got the right man, that he really did it. So to me, the two are inextricably connected. I can't see how you can ever have justice and fairness without a concern for truth, quite simply. But we live at a time now where the courts have become more and more concerned with just mere procedure and less interested in what really happened. And to me, that's a bad thing. It's not a good thing, it's a bad thing.
And I mean, in terms of these themes of like obsession and the search for truth, I was wondering if there were movies that you saw when you were maybe younger or starting out that you feel really addressed these well and really inspired you to like, oh, I want to kind of make a movie like that or with that type of power.
When I started becoming obsessed with movies when I was in my early 20s, I started to watch a lot of film noir. Movies from the late 40s and early 50s. There's a Robert Mitchum film that I love where he says, I could see the frame, but I couldn't see the picture. I hadn't thought of it before you mentioned it just now, but in Tabloid, there is a noir element. I would call it the essence of noir. On one hand, this obsession with inexorability and fate and destiny. Are we just trapped in some kind of infernal machine that produces a tragic outcome. The role of destiny. The role of destiny plays a very strong role in Tabloid. Did Joyce somehow create this tragedy for herself? And on the other hand, the mystery of people's lives, of what really is going on, of what happened, and the search for some kind of underlying reality. That's both, this is like, in a way, it's my ultimate movie because it has many of my themes floating around in it in one form or another. I think you could take, I don't even know how many movies I've made at this point, but it's a fair number. And I think you can see elements of almost every one of my movies in Tabloid.
And I was wondering about, in terms of the media. I mean, it seems to, I've studied the media a lot, and specifically Fox News, and it seemed like there's this idea now that with the media there is no such thing as truth. It's all opinion, and you know, you can equal out a minute of truth with a minute of lies, and then you don't say which is which. I'm kind of wondering what you see as the media's role in the search for truth.
It's all of our roles in the search for truth. It's that we should never give up. Now, in some instances, it can be a hopeless quest, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't pursue it anyway. The desire to find things out, the desire to know what really happened. Truth is not up for grabs. It really isn't. I'm a great believer in a kind of, I'll take out the kind of, I'm a great believer in absolute truth. When I was working on The Thin Blue Line, it's not that, you know, policeman X or policeman Y thinks this person did it or didn't do it. They did it or they didn't do it. Someone pulled the trigger. Someone, an example I'm fond of is if someone's strapping you into an electric chair, say in the state of Texas. Now it's lethal injection, but in the days in which Randall Adams, my protagonist in The Thin Blue Line, was sentenced to death, it was the electric chair. Someone's strapping you into an electric chair, and some postmodernist comes up to you and says, well, you know, there's no fact of the matter. Truth is subjective, truth is relative, truth is up for grabs. You may have done it, you may not have done it. Really, there is no fact of the matter. There is no truth. You're not going to be particularly happy with that, particularly for an innocent man being put to death. And we all know that there's a real world in which things happen or don't happen. And yes, that's our job to pursue it. Might be difficult, might be problematic, maybe we fall short of the goal, but it is the goal. It's the thing we go after, at least I go after.